Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to really take some time to talk about a free agent that, in my opinion, makes sense for the New York Jets here. Somebody not named Dalvin Cook, somebody not named DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, those are the two big names on the open market, and there's a lot of buzz right now surrounding the Jets and how they're a win-now team, and they're not done, right? Diana Rossini yesterday said that, they're not closing the door on anything. And then she had a quote later on in the day where she said that the Dolphins and the Jets were both doing their homework on Dalvin Cook. Okay, so there's obviously something there. I think if there wasn't something there, it wouldn't be talked about at this length for this long. I don't think we would be seeing Dalvin Cook liking all these Jets related tweets and whatnot. Now, granted, he's liked a bunch of Dolphin stuff too. But with all the teams that have been linked to Dalvin Cook, Dallas, Denver, Buffalo too, it just really seems like there's a connection with the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. Obviously, that stuff is kind of exciting to think about. I do have a couple of questions of how the money situation would work, because the Jets also have, a couple question marks on their, a couple questions on their current roster. And I also really like the Jets running back room a lot. Now, of course, we have the question mark of Breece Hall being 100% healthy by week 1, but with the health situation, we just don't really know that to be a fact, right? We don't know truly if Breece will be 100%. Like, that's the goal, that's what's expected right now. But, in the event that Breece Hall is not healthy, and he maybe has to sit a game or two, yeah, you would probably want that insurance. But in this one, I wanted to shift gears away from DeAndre Hopkins, away from Dalvin Cook, the big name guys, and talk about somebody who had an insanely productive season last year at a position of need for the New York Jets. Now, really, the thinking behind this video is the fact that the Jets still have not re-signed Kwon Alexander. And look, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about Kwon because I've been pounding on this desk for the Jets to re-sign him for literal months now, since the end of the season. Like, I wanted Kwon Alexander back. I wanted him initially. The Jets actually went out and they signed him. I was pumped up, and he had a really, really good season for the Jets, all things considered. I'm not saying he's a top 3 linebacker, but when we look at the contract, it was a 1-year deal worth $1.1 million. He racked up 60 plus tackles, 40 plus of those solo. He played in every single game. What's the biggest knock on Kwon Alexander throughout the course of his entire career? Injuries, can't stay healthy, he's not durable, he's not reliable. Last season, every single game for the green and white. He also started in 12. So we can look at the numbers and say, wow, these are a lot of tackles for just over $1 million for a late summer signing. Then we factor in the systematic fit on defense. He knows what to do. Like, he's worked with Saleh, not only just with the Jets, but with the Niners previously. He's worked with this defense exactly from last season, so it's not like we're going to have a question mark of chemistry or anything like that. To me, it makes all the sense in the world. We can double his pay. I'm fine with it. We can triple his pay. I'm fine with it. 1 year, $3.3 million. It's not really going to break the Jets' bank, in my opinion. Now, is it Kwon Alexander wanting too much money? Is it the Jets not really wanting him back and saying, hey, he's a veteran. We like what he did for the team last season, but we don't really have any long-term plans to keep him around. Maybe we like a younger guy on the roster, or maybe we just have to restructure the Aaron Rodgers contract and extend Quinnen Williams, and figure out other positions, monitor bigger names on the market. If somebody becomes available, now we have more financial leash to go make something happen with them, as opposed to handing out $2 or $3 million to Kwon. I think all those are realistic. All those are possible here. But it doesn't change the fact that I still want him back. In fact, I can make an argument that it's more important to have Kwon Alexander this season in 2023 as opposed to last year, because this season we are in the win now mode. The window has shrunk significantly with Aaron Rodgers. We're not this young developing team with Mike LaFleur and Saleh and Zach Wilson and a super young running back room and Sauce Gardner, a rookie, Garrett Wilson, AVT in year 2. We are win now. We have to make sure if there's holes on the ship, they're patched up. If linebacker is a question mark and we have one sitting out there, that's not asking for a lot of money, that has worked with the team, worked with the defense, coming off a great season, proved his biggest negative about him, his biggest question mark or concern about his career, he proved that wrong last season in playing in every single game, then let's just bring him back. Let's not overthink it. But in the event that the Jets don't, if Kwon signs elsewhere, he took a visit with the Pittsburgh Steelers, there are a couple players that I'm interested in. One being Rashaan Evans, former Tennessee Titan, former Atlanta Falcon. Coming in at 6'1", 235, I think Rashaan Evans right now at 27 years old is a diamond in the rough. You know, this is somebody who is, again, available out on the open market. It doesn't really seem like he has that big of a market, and he's coming off the best season of his career, where he racked up 159 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. And keep in mind, 80 plus of those tackles were solo. And this was only his one season with the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, he was with the Tennessee Titans for multiple years, plays for the Falcons last season, and is just a tackling machine. The guy's all over the place. And you could say, hold on a second, we already have CJ Mosley, we already have Quincy Williams. Linebacker is not on the same level as quarterback, as edge, as left tackle, wide receiver 1 in this day and age in football. You know, why are we spending a lot of time on this position? And that's fair, especially at a position where he's not necessarily on the field all the time, right? He's like dime packages and whatnot. Like, there's going to be situations where the Jets are running, because they run the 4 down lineman, a 4-2-5. And maybe the Jets are thinking, hey, why are we going to go out and spend money right now when there's things that we have to do at a position where they're not even going to be on the field, you know, for the majority of the game? And I'm not talking one specific player like the snap count rotation thing that Ulbrich was talking about last season. I'm talking more so about a position entirety, right? When that position is off the field and you add an extra DB, it's like, you know, from that mindset, from that, you know, looking at it through that lens, you know, in Joe Douglas's shoes here, you can somewhat understand it. But my counter argument would be, again, we can just point to Kwon Alexander's numbers: 60 plus tackles, 40 plus solo tackles, 17 games played, 12 starts. There is a role for this position on this team, and I know it might not be the best bang for the buck as far as playing time is concerned and all that kind of stuff, but when we ask the question, who's going to replace Kwon Alexander on the current roster? Hamza Nasruddin, rookie Zach Barnes from Western Michigan, Jamie and Sherwood. You know, I'm not, you know, 100% sold on all of the. I would love it if the Jets gave, you know, a younger guy an opportunity and he, you know, shows flashes and whatnot. But again, because we are thinking Super Bowl, we're thinking AFC Championship here. We have to hang in with the Chiefs and the Bengals and the Bills, all these great teams in the AFC. You know, I want to be right there with those squads. I want to make sure that we're rolling out the best possible team, the team with the most talent that we can. I would rather be safe than sorry. You know, I would rather, you know, pay Kwon Alexander, pay Rashaan Evans here an extra $1 million to get him secured on the roster. And we have that veteran guy that we can lean on in certain situations, as opposed to it being week 6, week 7, week 4. And it's like, oh man, you know what? We really struggled in this area of the defense, and this is somewhere where opposing OCs, opposing head coaches, opposing quarterbacks are going to expose. And now we're trying to pivot on the fly, adding a free agent in the middle of the season, or potentially trading for a guy where you're giving away an asset. Just let's play it safe here. Kwon Alexander, Rashaan Evans, and by the way, another cool fact about Rashaan is the fact that 3 out of the last 4 years he's played and started in every single game. Evans does have a track record of being on the field and being dependable as a linebacker. Here's my big if, though. When it comes to Rashaan Evans, the Jets have got to be sure, they have to be sure, that they can coach him in a way to where he can develop in the pass defense game. If the Jets staff, if Ulbrich and these guys don't feel like they can get anything more out of his pass coverage skills, then I just don't know the fit at weak side linebacker, because let's face it, weak side linebacker, you have to drop back in coverage, you have to have the speed to flock, you have to have the instincts to, move sideline to sidelines and pick up on what's going on. Not saying Rashaan can't do that, but specifically in the passing game, or in coverage, that's not really Evan's strong suit. Now, if we did not have Quincy Williams, if we ended up cutting CJ Mosley, then it's like, okay, different story. Get him in the building right now. But again, if the Jets don't want Kwon and they don't feel like they can get anything more out of the coverage abilities from Evans, then I'm not so sure of the fit. But if there is that optimistic view, if there is some life there, if Ulbricht's looking at Evans and saying, hey, you know what, I can make a couple tweaks here. If we just get him in the building, we can work with him and put him in a position to have success in this style of defense. Maybe there's something there, because the two things that Rashaan has shown throughout the course of his career, he plays, he's dependable, you can count on him, and he's a freaking tackling machine. The one question I want to kind of leave out there that I would have for Joe Douglas, again, if you don't want Kwon Alexander specifically, that's fine. If you feel like it's, he wants too much money, whatever the case may be, who's replacing his production? Is it going to be a rookie? Is it going to be a young player stepping up? And if that's the case, that's fine, but there has to be 100% conviction that we're going to get similar production. It would not be that big of a deal if the Jets are just continuing to build and we're hoping for like a 9-10 win season. And it's like, we're a young team on the come up, but that's not the case anymore. The Jets went all in with Aaron Rodgers. I don't want holes in the ship. I don't. I want vacancies filled. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. What other linebackers are you looking at? Miles Jack is another one that I would be pretty interested in. Obviously playing with the Steelers last season. But like for a 1-year stopgap, I would love him on the New York Jets if, again, Alexander doesn't... if Alexander isn't brought back. But he's still my number one choice, though. Anyway, thanks so much, and as always, go Jets.